All my life I've been a leader and the one that's being strong, even for my own mother. As far as I can remember, she be combing my hair and telling me about all of her problems. Bless her heart, she was so depressed. And I was too little for all of that information. All of the sibling stuff she had with her sisters, it's just life. And I've been to listen. I'm tired. It's not that much stuff left in the van. It's just like, it's just little stuff, and then I'm wondering, what do I need? What do I pack and take with me? Where am I going? Then I can't find the list, and I wrote all of the numbers on. I'm so tired. God, give me strength. I don't want to be weak. And I know the cats, they know something's going on. Seemed like they were on their best behavior. They were in here all day. Yesterday, they didn't even come out and run around until later when I was about ready to go. And like Shabach got up this morning, she just keeps staring at me, looking me in the eye, and it's like, I'm gonna let this baby go. Because you can't take them into the shelters. I don't think. I need her little support. Just having these cats is just, I don't know. And I know I'm probably, deflecting, shifting my attention to something else. It's hard not to think about it. It's hard to think about it. It's all of the jewelry and the pieces and the beads. And I don't know where to put them. And I want to put everything in order by color. I don't want to come back to a unit. I don't want to open the door and just see a big mess from where I threw everything in. This isn't my first time putting all my things in storage. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. Oh my God. I've been following God for so long and it's embarrassing. And it's not just embarrassing, it's embarrassing based on what the Saints say anything about me. My brother stopped talking to me back in 2012 and the Saints be sitting up acting like it ain't nothing. The people I've been in relationship with, or at least a church association with, since way back when I was in my 20s. And ain't nobody picked up the phone and said, Ronda, what's going on with you and Jim? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Not to the point of where you can get married, you having a whole baby, and you won't talk to me. Our mama died, and you won't talk to me. I don't understand. We're all we had. I laid down my life for him. I laid down my life for my brother. I love him. I knew he was coming through. Oh my God. Oh, how do you sit up in a church? How do you do it? All of the worship, all of the praying, all of the fasting, and can't nobody forgive anybody and come together with a whole brother and sister. Nobody called. Nobody tried to get us on a three-way. Nobody. What is going on in these churches? What is going on? You can have same gender attraction, but why does it have to be children? When I watch stuff and people talk about grooming, it bothers me so deep. Oh my God, it bothers me. It bothers me. I don't understand. How could you stand back and go along with any kind of mess like that with me? I don't understand. I don't understand. And not so much as, come on. Not so much as having to understand it. It's just, the closer you get to God, one thing about getting in the presence of God, when you get into your worship and the tears fall, the first thing you want to do is repent. The first thing you be saying is, God, forgive me, cleanse me. I don't understand how y'all live in church. And I don't even have a reason to just about my brother. How? I know I've been known to have a sharp tongue. I'm trying to find something to wipe my nose. I can't find nothing. And I'm struggling in this because I don't want to say anything to hurt my brother. I know what God said to me. I know what He showed me. Every prophet, every reader, everything. I brought it up because I wanted somebody to tell me, somebody reputable, somebody that does readings for a living. I wanted them to say to me, you making that up. You making it up. I cut the umbilical cord when my brother came out. I went off to college freshman year, Morris Brown, 1989. Got filled with the Holy Ghost November 12, 1989. Somewhere up in there I looked up, and from Reese Price, who was my counselor back when I lived in Tulsa, very good man, he was the counselor's counselor. He had me to read this book called Trapped in the Mirror. After I had gone home, it's hard because I don't want to tell things because church people, they look at me so strange. Both parents, mother and father, are notorious for defending themselves by lying. They literally people tell you, just pick up and God washed that all away. He can't wash it all away, but you still got a brain. You got a soul. You got a memory. And stuff pops up as you live your life out. Things come back up. I understand what my mother and my father were going through. I get it. 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 But there's a Ronda up in there that's still trying to get my whole self together and move forward. It is hard. I'm trying to do it without vices. It's hard. There's only a few things left in the trunk. It's almost like, it's probably about 8 o'clock. I haven't looked at it, but it was 7:30, I think, when I first got in the truck at a Walmart. It just so happened nobody bothered me tonight. The guys were cleaning, but I know I can't show up here another night. And I'm just sitting there, and I need to go to the Uhaul. Need to go. And the girl said she'd help me lift the sofa, and I can't. I'll lift it and just leave God. And I know there's stretches and stuff to do to straighten out my back and soreness, but I'm just saying, I don't know where I'm going. I don't have a car. Oh. And I gotta find that list that Alice gave me. Maybe I'll just call her. And I put it aside because I was gonna put it in my purse. Let me see if I can. It's so much. Let me try to block stuff out of my mind and pick up and go on, pick up and go on, pick up and go on. And then on top of all of that, I try to be a vessel for other people. Whoever I come into contact with, I feel stuff all the time. I can feel it. You get up on people, you can feel it, I can hear it. And you trying to find something to say because you want to be a light. You want to be this, you want to be that. It just gets started. Everybody got an answer, but nobody really just jumps in and helps you when you've grown up and you haven't had a mother and father to put a trust around, to give you a car, to help you get started. And even if they can't, even if they financially can't, just to have somebody on the other end of the phone speaking faith, praying with you, encouraging you. You know, I went out of my way to go see my father before he passed. He never even said, how you doing? What you doing in New Orleans? What you planning on doing down there? You still doing your massage? This time I talked to him, was like, ain't no daughter of mine. Ain't no daughter of mine doing old nasty massage, touching people. So I guess that's what he's done. You know. Going to places like that. That's not who I am. And I guess that's why it bothered me so much when Larry Reed said that. That's not who I am. And I've never been. I know what's in my hands. Bless his heart. I went and met his sister, and she said, baby, you go over there if you want to. She said, but if you get the act of the fool, you come on from over there and go on back around your people. She said, don't you get too involved with him, because Otis done fell out with everybody in the family. She said, when I got to the hospital to check on him, he said, what the hell you doing here? She said, ever since he was a child, he got like 10 brothers and sisters. It's a whole bunch of them, about 12 of them all together, I think, and a lot of them had died. And she said, all of us, you can not be to see him in a long time, and when you see him or when you talk to him, he done fell out with you. That blessed my soul, because I never knew his 10 brothers and sisters. I don't even have a good picture in my mind of his parents. It's a blank picture. I can see him, I met him, but I don't know him. And like I had a reading, a girl said back in 2015, and a girl said, your great-great-great-grandmother on your father's side, out of the whatever amount of them that are living now, even the one I was talking to, even my father, I called my father to ask him who was my great-great-great-grandmother. And he got upset. He said he was the last child to be born at home. It was some town away from, I think it was down here actually, because I found out that Slidell used to be called Harrisonville. That was the name of the town. I ain't talking about call it that like it was a slang or anything. Before it was Slidell, it was Harrisonville. There were black Indians, and those were my people. And that's what I found out just when I was telling the story the other day about going to the, when I was going about my shoulder, going to the orthopedic surgeon's office in Metairie. And the security guard heard the girl call my name. And I went back and sat down because she was just asking me something with the paperwork. And he said, you are Harrison. And he showed me his badge that he was a Harrison. And I said, well, do you know? I said, do you think we may? He said, we are kin. And I thought to myself, nigga, how you know? You know? And it was one of them days I ain't feel like being bothered. And I am a social butterfly when it comes to situations like that. If I'm in a waiting room and there's an older black security guard male and he trying to have a conversation with anybody, I'm the one that'll say a light little something just to keep the conversation going. But that was one of them days I ain't feel like being bothered. And I remember thinking, I hope that nigga don't come over here trying to talk to me, because I just didn't feel like being cordial that day. And he told me that there was an Indian reservation. It was right down Old Spanish Trail. Y'all don't know what Old Spanish Trail is, but people from the area know it. It's not, the city's not very big. but I don't remember a first name. But Harrison was some black guy who, he owned land. He had money like people had back in that day. And he said growing up, and this man wasn't, he had to have been like around up in my mama's age or a little bit older. So he had to be, if I'm 52, he had to be 70s, maybe even late 60s. Or I don't think he was 80s. But anyway, he said growing up as a little boy, he remembered they would come to Harrisonville on the other side of Pontchartrain. And they would, he would go and visit all the relatives. They'd be like in a little huddle. And, you know, I don't know if I can't remember what he said. Was it like little trailers or whatever? I don't know if they were shotguns. But he said, but you would go from one to the other visiting each one's. And that was what they did for all the holidays that came up. They went to Harrisonville and they were Harrisons. I remember the first time I crossed over Lake Pontchartrain, but maybe about the first 3 times coming from New Orleans to Lake Pontchartrain, I was just crying and in a place of worship and thank you. And I could feel, New Orleans is a place that I've come to where I can feel the ancestors like I've never felt them before. This was all new to me because it had been ingrained into me that it was demonic because of the King James Bible. And here I have, like I said, there's an Indian, and this was before this man told me this about this Harrisonville. It's been going on, I want to say, I guess since 2015, and I had that reading because I remember I was on the phone with a girl, and just so happened the girl that was doing the reading with me used to be Church God in Christ, but had stepped into her gift. She's a womb, not a doula, but she helps people through the wombs. And I remember she gave a revelation, and I believe it's true, where she talked about, she has like a video, she talks about, a video channel. She talks about women and like in your lineage, if your mother or your aunts or the women in your family cross over or they die, so to speak, close their eyes or whatever, transition, without having solved different problems, diseases, whatever's running down your bloodline, you're left to deal with it. I've never been raped or molested by an adult. But growing up as kids, I grew up in the area where all the kids, well, I knew about the girls because I really wasn't doing it with boys, but when the girls were in the closet kissing and practicing kissing and playing Farrah Fawcett and who was else out? The Hulk. And I've done that with other friends. And as I got older, one of my friends that I worked in the spas with said that was how she knew she was gay or bi. And all I knew in the church world was, if you are same gender loving, that is the devil. You got a spirit in you. And then if you're a woman doing that, that means you was a bulldagger. As far back as I can remember, my mother used to call me a bulldagger. I was tomboyish because growing up around my uncles, my mother is she's the second oldest. She's the oldest girl amongst her siblings. So she had me, I have to do the math, but she was in early 20s. And my 2 uncles were still teenagers. They were getting ready to graduate Fair Park. One was in the band, my Uncle Junior. And my other one, my favorite uncle, he played football. And so I grew up watching Fair Park Band, going to the games, and wanting to be in the band. And wearing my uncle's, that big old helmet that they used to have back in the 70s. He graduated in, I think, 79. My other uncle graduated in 81. But just hanging around my uncles and learning to play dominoes and spades with my uncles. It was boys everywhere. And so I had that edge to be tough. And I was already, I'm a tough personality. But I technically wasn't boyish. I've always been a girl. With my hair, my barrettes, my bows. My mother kept my hair laid. My mother modeled locally. She was a model. For real, for real. It wasn't in like Jet magazine and stuff like that. But for Shreveport, they used to do fashion shows a lot in the 70s. And I came along 71. So I just remember late 70s. I remember. And maybe that's why to this day I can't stand to hear Motown music. Motown music is beautiful. It's wonderful. But it puts me in a place. I love Marvin Gaye and his voice and the music, but it's a turn that off type of thing for me. And I don't care for anything from like the 60s era. And again, my mother, she was a songstress. She could really, she could blow. And now, being a musical person and a writer and having gone to church with and sat under legends, living legends, Mama could sing. Mama could throw down. And she never led a song at church. I remember one time she was given a song to lead. Choir director, John Hale, gave her a song. And she was tearing that song up at home. Tearing it up. When we got in choir rehearsal. Because I used to, going to choir rehearsal was a thing for me growing up. My grandmother would come across town to come get me to take me to choir rehearsal with her. So I was sitting up listening to the James Cleveland. And all of them songs, like Stand Right Still and Steady Myself. I know all of that. And that's how I ended up doing chocolate chip gumbo. Because I know that old music from just sitting out there watching the parts be taught. And I ended up, by 12, started piano lessons. By 14, I was playing in churches in the country, little small churches. And teaching songs, but teaching parts. And love music. But I remember my mother got up and she missed her turn to come in. Every time the song came in, she could not do it. She would not do it. And then Johnny Hill called this other lady. I think it was Erlene. I think that was her name. That was my mom had her two sisters in the choir, and there was another group. I think it was Erlene, Valerie, but it was another group of sisters. It was several groups of sisters, you know, growing up in our church, Midway Baptist Church number 2. And number 1 and 2 was because the church split at one time, and so they went number 1 and number 2. You know how we do in these churches, we split up. I remember we got in the car, and I kept asking her, and I guess I was being to Ronda, fussing, saying something somebody my age ain't had no business saying, because I've always had this mouth. And I say when people have to realize who their children are when they come in and work with them and train them. Because mouthy children are usually going to be prophetic. And you can be prophetic as a lawyer in a courtroom, as a teacher, as a coach. And some of your professions are going to require the yelling and the loud talking and being confrontational and going back and forth. They just need to know when and when not. They need to know a balance, and that's one of our strongholds in the world of religion. We don't know when to balance stuff off, when to pull back, when to not be offended with somebody who doesn't believe what you believe, or who doesn't say it like you say it, or who's doing something you don't know nothing about, But whatever I was saying to her, I got bust in the mouth. And I remember my feelings were hurt. But one of the things that bothered me most when we were burying her October 5th, or getting, while we were getting ready for the funeral after I came home. And we were, finding out what you're going to wear in the casket, all of that stuff. I remember thinking she never did sing. Because by the time she passed, I had been to at least 3 churches with singing pastors. And I was like, he could have passed that mic to Mama. I would hear all the leads that were, chosen and favored to get up and lead stuff. And I'm like, Mama she could have wore that out. She would keep the radio playing on KOKA 24 hours a day. In the morning, in the evening. I believe that settled whatever was going on with her spiritually. And maybe even mentally. I don't know. And I think a lot of us are caught up in a place of epigenetics, meaning depression, trauma is coming down through your DNA. And from what I learned studying African American history and reading up on Joy DeGruy and post-traumatic slave syndrome, she's written a book about that. She has a lot of really good videos on YouTube where you see her talking to people, training them, going into, like, she would have been the one called in to talk to the police department who were responsible for killing George Floyd. She was the one that's called in by corporate people to come and talk to the races about race. And she's a psychiatrist or psychologist. But she's founded post-traumatic slave syndrome. And it answers a lot of questions with what's going on in the belly and why Ronda was walking around looking like she's 9 months pregnant. And I know that I've carried